On a tranquil Wednesday night, my wife, distracted by her phone, casually remarked that I was expendable. Her tone carried no malice, no prelude of conflict, just a throwaway line, as if I were an obsolete device ready for an upgrade. The comment wasn't accidental. It was deliberate, crafted to sting. I held my tongue, swallowed the hurt, and gave a slight nod, as though her words hadn't shaken the foundation of our shared life. A decade of marriage, 10 years of dedication, compromise, and making sure she felt valued. When we met, she was struggling. I was the one who supported her, paid off her debts, championed her dreams, and offered the stability she'd never had. Yet now I was dispensable. That night, as she slept, unaware of the storm she'd unleashed, I made a decision. I wouldn't argue or beg. She didn't deserve that response. Instead, I'd do the unexpected. I'd walk away and make sure she felt every step of my departure. For weeks, I played the role of the attentive husband. I smiled, asked about her day, cooked her favorite meals as if we were still basking in the glow of our early years. Meanwhile, I quietly unraveled our intertwined lives. The house in the Brookhaven neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia, was mine, purchased before we married. The cars were titled in my name. The joint accounts were funded almost entirely by my income. Credit cards linked to my credit could be canceled with one phone call. I met with a lawyer, double-checked every detail, and left no loose ends. There would be no surprises, at least not for me. The moment came on a Saturday morning. She strolled into the kitchen, her usual air of confidence unshaken, oblivious to the fact that I'd spent the week severing our financial ties. "Any plans?" I asked, pouring her coffee. "Maybe meeting some friends," she replied, voice detached. Then with a smirk, she added, "You'll be fine, won't you? You're lucky I've stayed this long." That was the final cut. I slid a thick envelope across the marble island. She eyed it curiously. Inside were bank statements showing the joint accounts emptied into mine alone. Her credit cards canceled. The SUV she drove retitled solely to me. And a separation agreement ready for her signature. "What's this?" she asked, her tone sharpening. "It's what you wanted," I replied calmly. "Freedom. A chance to find my replacement." Her hands trembled as she flipped them through the pages. The reality crashed over her like a cold tide. She was sharp enough to understand the legal language, to see that the safety net she'd taken for granted had vanished overnight. "You're serious?" she asked, voice quivering. "You said I was replaceable," I answered, holding her gaze. "Now's your chance to prove it." For once, she was speechless. The weight of her own words finally bore down on her. She tried to backpedal, voice softer. "I didn't mean it like that," I countered. "You said it repeatedly, in 100 different ways. You meant it. That's what matters." She scrambled for control. "You're throwing away our marriage over one comment?" "Not one comment," I said. Years of dismissal. The exchange stayed calm. No raised voices, just raw truth laid bare. The silence in that kitchen was heavier than any fight we'd ever had. Within a week, she was gone, left with no home and no funds to sustain the lifestyle she'd grown accustomed to. Her so-called friends, who flocked to her when money flowed freely, vanished when the luxuries disappeared. Reality hit her hard and fast. At first, her messages were bold. "You'll regret this." Then they softened. "Can we talk?" Eventually, long texts arrived. Apologies, justifications, claims of stress, even accusations that I hadn't appreciated her enough. I never replied. Each message only reinforced who she'd become and why I'd left. Months later, I spotted her at a corner cafe in Midtown. She was sitting alone, looking smaller, somehow smaller. She waved me over, tentative. The arrogance had faded, replaced by something raw. Regret, perhaps, or the harsh awareness of what she'd lost. "I've been wanting to talk," she said softly. "I was wrong. I thought you'd never leave. I thought you needed me more than I needed you." "That was your mistake," I said. "You assumed love was guaranteed, that I'd stay no matter how you treated me." She fidgeted with her coffee mug, then asked, "Can we fix this?" That's when I fully understood the power of walking away. "No," I said simply. "Some things shatter beyond mending. You made sure of that." She nodded, struggling to stay composed. As I rose to leave, I paused. "You know," I added, "everyone's replaceable. You taught me that. I just realized it applies to you, too." I walked out of the cafe without anger or resentment, just peace. The woman who once deemed me expendable had finally learned what it truly meant to be replaced. And there was no going back.